You're now listening to the Festival of Football, presented by Billy Harvey and Henry Barrett.
All right, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Festival of Football podcast. This is episode 7, and today we're joined by a special guest. We mentioned before we're going to bring on a Chelsea fan to get his ideas and thoughts about the Champions League final. So I'm going to introduce him now. Danny Dyer, how are you, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Nah, he's really...
Thanks very much for bringing me on. I've genuinely been really excited to come on. I've listened to every podcast, and I don't always agree with what you chaps say, but I suppose that's the beauty of a podcast, isn't it?
That's it. It's about opinions, mate, at the end of the day. And of course, we're not going to agree. You're a Chelsea fan, we've got a Tottenham fan, and a West Ham fan. It's never going to happen, is it? But no. His real name is Matt, by the way. He just looks a lot like Danny Dyer. If you look at him, you can see him. He looks a lot like Danny Dyer. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. You all right, Bill? How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good. Recovered from the weekend and yesterday. I took my niece shopping, and she did me for like some money in the Disney shop, shall we say. So, yeah, my pocket's recovered and I've recovered.
Interesting. Well, I'm lucky. I don't, as you know, I don't live with my son, so I can save some money here and there. But they are expensive children, aren't they? But anyway, let's get on to the topics of today. So firstly, we're going to round up the final games of the Premier League. Maybe just have a look at the table as well, see where teams finished. But then also going to talk to Matt about the Chelsea game, Champions League final, seeing how his thoughts are about it, if he's nervous. I mean, he should be, but we'll see if he is. And then finally, the England squad's been announced today. So we'll get on that, our thoughts and feelings about that. There's been some dodgy names being put in that squad, let me put it that way. So yeah, let's get on with the roundup of the games. So I'll just run through them all quickly. Arsenal beat Brighton 2-0, no surprises there. Villa 2, Chelsea 1. I mean, that's an interesting one. We have to get onto that very quickly. Fulham 0, Newcastle 2. Again, no surprises. Leeds 3, West Brom 1. Again, no surprises. Leicester 2, Tottenham 4. I mean, what's going on there? Liverpool 2, Palace 0. No surprise. A big surprise, Man City 5, Everton 0. That's crazy. Sheffield United 1, Burnley 0. West Ham 3, Southampton 0. Get in there. And Wolves 1, and Man United's C team 2. So we'll start off with Aston Villa Chelsea. Matt, what happened, mate? It seems like your manager's tinkering a bit too much. He's not Ranieri, is he?
Do you know, I wasn't completely confident going into the game. It's Villa's last game, of the season. They've got the home fans. It's a 12th man. And for me, Conte's out. Conte, for me, he's like two players. He covers every single blade of grass. So I think we really, really missed, Conte in the middle of midfield. We didn't play particularly bad. I think we had a few chances, just didn't take them. And it doesn't set us up well, does it, for the weekend, which I know we'll discuss later. So not surprised, but yeah, thank you, Tottenham. Did us a huge, huge favour.
I mean, Mendy's out injured as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know the extent of the injury yet. Didn't watch the game. I listened to it on the radio, and I think he collided with the post, if my memory serves me right. We don't know the extent of the injury, but again, if he's out of the Champions League, he's a big name. He's solid.
Yeah.
And Kepa, I think Kepa's a liability. I'd rather you go and goal, Henry, than Kepa. He's a complete liability. He doesn't do anything. He's not that commanding figure, is he? He doesn't instill that confidence in the back four. You can tell that when Mendy's there, the back four are more confident. They play the ball to him. When Kepa touches the ball, I panic. I do genuinely panic.
Well, I think it all went downhill for him when he refused to come off in the Carabao Cup final. That was it last year or the year before? I think that's where it went downhill.
Unforgivable. That was unforgivable, and I'll never forgive him for that. I mean, in the final, gaffers and stuff make sometimes dubious decisions. And do you know what though? But didn't we lose on and penalties as well?
Yeah,
I think we lost the penalties, didn't we? Yeah. So that's if he had saved 3 and we won the cup, we'd forgive him. But the fact that he didn't, it just reinforces.
That's it. I mean, your manager wanted to take him off because the other keeper was a penalty specialist.
And he completely disrespected the manager. The manager has the final say. Like I say, you don't have to agree with decisions, but he's the gaffer. He gets paid to make those decisions, and you need to respect it. So I think a lot of fans lost respect for him on that specific day. And the mistakes since then, I mean, come on. Butterfingers, isn't he? He's made complete howlers of errors that have led to goals. And yeah,
I mean, you look around the Premier League though. There's not that many good goalkeepers now, is there? There's a lot of them making mistakes. A lot of them flapping at crosses and whatever else. The art of goalkeeping's gone downhill, in my opinion. Anyway.
I think they have a difficult job, though, don't they? I think you make one mistake, it could lead to a goal, and that's all.
Yeah,
that's all
true.
the fans do.
You make one mistake, you don't make 4 or 5 a season. You make 1 or 2. But no spoilers here, but getting onto the England squad, Pickford, for example, should be nowhere near that squad. But he's in there, but he makes mistakes all the time. But we'll get onto that in a bit. Bill, what do you think about Tottenham? 4-2 winners against Leicester.
It was a roller coaster. I'm not gonna lie. Like I sort of like was watching it, and then you saw like Leicester go ahead, and then we came back. Then Leicester went ahead again, and then Arsenal went ahead, and I was like, oh no, we can't have both West Ham and Arsenal going ahead of us because I think you were winning like 2-0 at the time as well, and I thought, yeah, that's game over. Southampton got nothing to play for. They're not coming back. And I was thinking, oh no, we're going to miss out on European football. Arsenal will finish above us. Arsenal fan TV will be going absolutely ballistic. And you'll be like, oh God, what have we done? And then we got an equaliser. And then I saw that Bauer scored, and it was like, oh, checking it for like VAR. And I was like, that's going to get ruled out. Like it probably should have been ruled out as well. Looking back at it, we've seen goals this season not being given for the same.
Oh, is that for the handball on Kane?
Yeah, it was a handball, but it like if you're gonna get
Can
rid of
I tell you why it weren't ruled out?
Go for it.
Because it was Kane. Mate, honestly, higher profile English players or Man United don't get VAR things like that. Remember the other week we spoke on the podcast where Greenwood had a handball, his hand way up high, and they didn't give it even though they checked it. It's Man United. They're not going to give a penalty at Old Trafford against Man United for that. Harry Kane is England's favourite son in here in a minute, especially with the Euros. They're not going to give a handball against him. And I guess in a way, you could argue that his hand was next to his stomach, so it wasn't in an unnatural position. And you got people like that argue for anything. But yeah, as soon as it hit the hand, I thought that was it. If it leads to a goal,
yeah, same. To be fair, like I fully expected it to be chalked off. I didn't think it didn't matter in the end because Bale scored again anyway, just to make sure. And it's one of those things we've seen again from Leicester. They bottled it again. I know Tottenham are supposed to be bottle job FC, but I think Leicester are slowly becoming the next one to take that title because they've had they should have had Champions League football in the last 2 years, but they've blown it again.
Yeah, well, you say that, but they've won more than what Tottenham has in the last few years. So
they have. Yeah, they have.
I still keep the point that Leicester's a big 6 club over Tottenham, mate. Just because Tottenham's got a fancy new stadium and loads of money in the bank, don't mean you're a big 6 club, mate. You know what I mean?
It depends what you do it on, isn't it? If you go on like company value and like the amount of fans that we have, then yeah, we're a much bigger club than Leicester. But if you go on things that you've won in recent times, then Leicester will be bigger.
What fans? You ain't got no fans.
We're not Man City, Jesus Christ.
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
For the Tottenham game, the big turning point was Wesley Fofana. I think when he went off injured, and Mr. Johnny Evans as well, the heart of that defence again, it fell apart after that, really, didn't it? And I do feel for Wesley Fofana because I think I heard on the radio, and I think he was in tears as he walked off the pitch.
Yeah,
is that going to affect his Euro? Where's he from? Wesley Fofana? Is he French? Not French, is he?
He's French.
Yeah. So,
is he in the squad for France?
I don't think so. He may have made it. I mean, he may have been one of those surprising inclusions.
West Ham were going to sign him, but he turned us down because we weren't in Europe and Leicester was. So, this season we might be able to get some players. I mean, I'm hearing reports of like 70 million plus whoever we sell is the budget that we've got. So, I mean, we could get Tammy Abraham with that. So.
Yeah, well, make a deal, mate. If we buy Declan Rice off of you can use that.
Hey, Declan Rice is not going back to Chelsea. He's not going to go back to a club that let him go. He's not going to. I'm telling you now. He's going to go Man United or Man City. He won't go Chelsea. It's like this, right? If you work for someone and they say to you, you're not good enough, and they let you go, then you go on your career and you get to a good point in your career, and that company comes back to you and says, oh, we want you back. What are you going to say to them?
If they're offering me 150 grand a week, sure, mate, I'll come back, wherever. All you got to remember is his best mate, Mason Mount, they're best friends. They're growing up, they play football since a young age. And
yeah, but mate, I don't think Mount will be there. I don't think Mount will stay at Chelsea long. Two reasons why. You're going to get a manager in there soon that's not going to like him. Okay, he's only in the squad. Remember why he's only in your squad? Because you had a transfer ban. If you didn't have that transfer ban, Mason Mount would be nowhere near your starting 11 right now. Yeah? He's playing out of his skin at the minute. And I think if he carries on playing out of his skin, eventually he'll move on to a bigger team. The likes of Real Madrid or someone like that.
I disagree. I think he's been at the club since the age of about 5 or 6. It's in his blood. For him to walk away, it'll be like Lamps. Do you know what I mean? It'll be end of his career. I mean, he's loved by the fans. To be fair, if
you mentioned Lampard. Lampard wasn't a Chelsea academy prospect. He was from West Ham.
I know he was at West Ham. Yeah. Thanks very much. Decent bit of business from us, wasn't it? But I mean, he came in, and the fans took. He's a club legend, and I think Mason Mount has got the potential to be a club legend. And if the gaffer comes in and doesn't play him, as a fan, I would stick with Mason Mount. I'd choose Mason. I'd make my feelings very well known that Mason's, he's a quality. And walk into any Premiership team.
I agree, but I think the only reason why he's in the team at the minute is your manager came in and he was the only one playing well when Lampard was there. So I think if another manager comes in, similar to like a Mourinho, if they come in and they've got their mind made up of who they like and stuff, and they start dropping. Look at Abraham. He's out your team now. He couldn't even get in the FA Cup squad. Look, what's up with that?
Yeah.
He's probably like your best striker.
Yeah.
I would say Werner, but he can't hit a barn door, can he?
Well, we'll get there, mate. Bill, what do you think about Bale? Is he staying? Is he going? Would you want him to stay?
I heard he's going back to play golf.
He's going to go. He'll go. He won't stay at Tottenham. We can't afford his wages. Like Daniel Levy won't pay anywhere near 600,000 a week. He wouldn't even probably give him 300. I mean, he'd probably give him, if he wanted Bale to stay, he'll give him 100 grand a week. And to be honest, he can earn a lot more somewhere else. I don't know where, but I'd want to keep him. But the problem is that I don't think mentally he's the same player that he was when he was winning things at Real Madrid. I think, like you said, it's a bit of a joke that he goes and plays golf, but his mind seems to be elsewhere. He seems to be like...
Wasn't it Wow's Golf Madrid?
It was, yeah, it was. And to be fair, that's fine. I mean, love your country, but you can't love another sport more than the one that you're playing. Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, if you sell Kane, that frees up a lot of money and you might be able to get him.
Sell him.
Has he worked 300 grand a week, though? Has he performed to justify giving him 300 grand a week? Not this year, has he?
No. But it's just like all the big names, isn't it? They're going off reputation, and that's what you're paying for. But I mean, yeah. I mean, let's get on to the best game of the weekend. West Ham 3, Southampton 0. I mean, guys, it was amazing. It started off, I was getting angry because we were playing like shitheads. We couldn't keep the ball. Southampton had like 2 or 3 chances where they should have scored. I mean, if Walker Peters squared it to Ings, they were 1-0 up. And I'm sitting there like, crap. And if Tottenham eventually won that game and we lost, we wouldn't have got Europa League. But no, 4-0s. I mean, he does all these amazing things, but when it comes to finishing, he can't hit a barn door, as I said about Werner. But that day, he scored twice, and I couldn't believe it. The second one was the better finish. And overall, yeah, we just see the game out. We didn't play overly good at all. Lingard again was trash. I swear to God, I would not pay 20, 30 million for him. I would say to West Ham, only pay 15 million, no higher, because he's hit and miss. He's hot and cold. And yeah, he had these amazing performances when he came. And if it weren't for him, he won't get in the Europa League. So thank you for that, Lingard. But since, I think, when was it? The Newcastle game? He's been dog shit. And it's not just he's not scoring and now I'm being a stupid fan. It's what he's doing on the pitch. I watch him week in, week out. He's not running, he's not chasing down, he's giving the ball away and then just standing there and not retracting, not trying to win the ball back. And he's like body language on the pitch as well was as if like he didn't give a shit. And I don't like that. When I see that in a player, I don't like that. And it kind of was rubbing off on Antonio as well, which I didn't like. And I just feel like them two can't play in the same team. There's only one player at West Ham that's on his wavelength, that's Bowen. But as I said to Billy so many times, Bowen's offside more than Werner. It's just not noticed because it's not a big club. But yeah, I'm fucking stoked though because West Ham got sixth. You know, next year Europa League definitely guaranteed at least 6 European games. I mean, that's amazing for a club like West Ham. But I did hear today, you know, normally in Europa League, if you finish second, you go up into the next stages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, this next year, the teams that come out of the Champions League are going to play second place in a playoff match. And then whoever wins that goes through as the runner-up. You know, so the first team go through as they won the group. Then all the second place teams play the ones that come out of the Champions League. And whoever wins that game goes through as the runner-up in the Europa League, basically. So then you'll get 16 teams. Because there's not, is it not 42 teams this year, is it? It's 30-something because of the Conference League. You've lost people in Europa League. It annoyed me in a way because I think, you know, it's just making the Champions League people have more freaking chances again. I mean, so West Ham have to win their group and they're going to be like the lowest ranked team in the freaking competition because we've not been in there for a while. So we're going to get like all the mega teams.
Yeah, you'll end up in a group of death. You'll end up because you'll be a 4th seed, and you'll end up with like Napoli, a Bundesliga team, and then probably a La Liga team. Whereas
I'll take Napoli. I'll take Napoli.
They'll beat you. Like, come on, like
mate. You say that, yeah, but we've got players now that have actually got European football, like Souček, Sufal. If we had a couple more of them Czech Republican players that from Sparta Prague, West Ham apparently are getting Daka, mate, from Salzburg.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see it. I can't
Can you
see
imagine?
it. You'll end up signing like
I'll be happy with Adam Armstrong. I told you that last time.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know. I mean, with the transfers, like, obviously we'll do a podcast about like transfers when the time comes around. But the thing is, I think at the moment they're saying they're going to give you all this money and all this sort of stuff. And to be fair, like David Moyes has done a good job with the recent transfers. But when you've been in Europe before, you've signed some absolute
dominance. Yeah, but that's it. That was because it was freaking David Sullivan in charge, wasn't it? And then you had Pellegrini and his mate, whatever his name was. But yeah, we won't make that mistake again. I don't think it's a big summer for the West Ham board. You know, they've lost faith with the West Ham fans, and if they back Moyes, there's no reason not to back him because you're getting at least 40 million from the Premier League finish and being in Europa League, and then apparently there's 20 million still left from Haller's fee. So realistically, that's 60 million. If you're not backing him in the summer, you're going to be asking for trouble, basically. And realistically, we can't afford to sell anyone because we need to strengthen the squad because we ain't got a squad big enough for Europa League. Our squad depth let us down. If we had a better squad, we could have got top 4. It was only 2 points off top 4, and we dropped points against Arsenal after being 3-0 up, and we dropped points against Newcastle when we got back to 2-2 with 10 men. That right there would have been enough to get Champions League football. So it's the squad.
Boyd, he's done a good job, and he's earned the right to go to the owners and say, "Look, this is what I've done with this squad. You need to trust in me. You know, you need to." I'm pleased. I'm Chelsea and stuff. All my uncles are West Ham, and they always give me jip whenever West Ham do us over. But I am pleased for you. Look, I am genuinely pleased that I'm disappointed for Leicester. You know, last minute, more days in the top 4 than any other club over the past 2 years or so. But I am pleased for you boys. You are a passionate, loyal bunch. I've been to West Ham games, and Europe, if you can get tickets, Henry, mate, it's going to be an absolutely cracking atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm just worried what the board are going to do. They're going to pump up prices, aren't they? So that's what they are. That's what they do, mate. It's all about money grabbing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I suppose, but if you invest well, I mean, Leicester have invested so well. I think out of all the teams in the
That's what I
Premier
mean.
League,
Leicester have got the best model. You look at it,
yeah,
they don't buy stupid, and when they do buy, they're not afraid to spend. But
no,
me and Billy
I've
spoke
got-
about it in the last podcast. We said they buy young and sell for a big profit. Maguire, 80 million, Kante, and then we even got down to Danny Drinkwater. I mean,
where's
it
he
was.
gone?
I don't know, mate. The last
He's
I
gone.
heard, you loaned him out to Palace, I think. Was it Palace or can't remember who you loaned him out to? Burnley. You loaned him out to Burnley, and then he got
Yeah.
into an altercation with Daesh or something, and then he got injured, and then he got sent back to Chelsea. I don't know what he's doing, mate, but it is what it is. But yeah, so you got top 4 in the end, Matt. Are you happy with that? That Tottenham did you a favour?
Of course, I am, mate. Of course, I am. Getting into Europe affects your ability to attract big players. I know Chelsea were a big club and we can attract big players, but we're a top 4 club. I know I'm biased. I'm a Chelsea fan. We're a top 4 club, and we, to keep getting in big names, we need to be in the top 4. Yes, we got in the skin of our teeth. We are. I do consider us lucky. But with on reflection on the season, getting into 2 finals, albeit we may lose both, which we'll get onto a bit later. But yeah, I think in the position we were when Tuchel took over, we were 9th or 10th. weren't putting the ball in the back of the net. Just had real difficulties letting in too many stupid goals, and we've seemed to have tightened the back 5. We're not conceding as many. So yeah, overall, I considering how much we spent in the summer, it's probably above average. I put it just above average in regards to our season.
I think what you've done, I think the best thing that you've done is tightened up at the back, because I don't think you're scoring any more or any less than what you was before, but you're not conceding. I mean, the fact that you went to the London Stadium and put 10 men behind the ball against West Ham, nicked the 1-0 goal, and then just sat there defending the rest of the game was like, to me, it was like, okay, West Ham are good this season, but also it's the philosophy of your manager. And that's what I said. If you get a manager in that don't like the looks of a man, or because I don't know how Werner's getting in your team over Abraham, because he was banging in goals at the beginning of the season. Abraham,
he died off though, didn't he? He died off.
Everyone did.
But you've got to remember, it's not just about your ability as a striker to put. It's attitude, and I think Abraham's attitude's a bit questionable, and I think you have to have the right attitude, and sometimes you do fall out of favour with gaffers, and you need to, if you want to play, you need to adjust your attitude. You're not a big time Charlie where, just because you've scored a few goals in the FA Cup, you've put quite a few away. But in regards to Werner, I think he'll come good. I'm really confident, and if you look at his numbers, it's not terrible, mate. I know he's missed sitters and he could have probably had 20 plus goals, but in regards to goals and assists, he's not before. And what I love about him is his head doesn't go down. And how many players can you say misses that many chances? And that's just something about his personality, the fact that he's missing sitters, that he's had a lot of.
All I can say is I agree with you, but the one thing about Werner that I found atrocious was, I can't remember what game it was, but he played recently, and he scored with his hand, and he went off and did a knee slide and celebrated like he won the World Cup after he handballed it in the goal. He knew he handballed it. He knew that VAR is going to rule that off, but he knee slid and everything, and then afterwards had the cheek to be like, oh, fuck off, because he was ruled off. Like, come on, man. What kind of player does that sort of thing? But Bill, you've got Conference League, mate. How are you feeling? You're going to be going to Malta and Lithuania and wherever else.
Yeah, to be honest with you, as long as we take it seriously, I don't have an issue with it. Like, it's a European trophy at the end of the day. And like we said before on the podcast, if your team's in it and you're the first team to win a new European trophy, it means something. I know it's the bottom version of the European Cups, but we should, realistically, I think there's us and Roma in it, the best 2 teams. And obviously you'll get teams drop out from the Europa League.
Villarreal as well, mate. Villarreal.
Yeah, but they're going to win the Europa League, so it's fine. They won't be in it.
That's a big shot. You think they're going to beat Man United?
Yeah, 100%. But so even if they're in it, we'll beat them. My issue is that I hope we don't do what we did to the Europa League or UEFA Cup years ago when we had Redknapp in charge. And we spoke about it before when we had Shakhtar and we put the kids out and lost and they won it that year.
Yeah.
If they're going to do that, then I'd rather us just decline to enter because it's taken the. If you're not going to put the strongest team out, what's the point?
I get that, but I was watching another podcast. I won't give the name of it though. But when I was listening to another podcast the other day, and they were talking about West Ham getting into the Europa Conference, and he was saying that if we was to get that, I would send the kids because they apparently chartering a plane and sending it to all these different countries costs a lot of money, and there's no revenue in this new conference league. So basically, you're going to be you're going to be minus money for going to these games than actually profiting from them. So there's no point in sending, if you had Kane, there's no point sending Kane there because what happens is he gets injured or whatever, and then on Sunday in the Premier League he can't play because he's tired. But you're not making any money from that game because there's no the TV. What's the TV deal? There's no TV deal for it, is there?
There is, yeah. So the other podcast didn't do any research, which is great. So they basically it's on the same night as the Europa League. So BT Sport have the TV rights for it. It's the only reason why the big teams are in it. Not big teams, but like the teams from the bigger leagues are in it because they couldn't get people to watch it. I don't know. I think some of the games are on earlier. So I think some of the games are like 5 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean that'd be a bit of shit, wouldn't it? Because he's gonna watch it at 4 o'clock if you're at work and whatnot.
Yeah, but I mean, people will watch it. Like maybe not the group stage because there might not be that many great games. But yeah, you're probably right. You might not make too much money on it, but it's not really aimed at the bigger league teams, is it? It's aimed at those smaller teams. Like we said, 2 million to a Maltese team is a hell of a lot of money. 2 million to Tottenham is nothing. It isn't anything. But
I agree.
You've got to take it seriously. Like for me, it's a cup competition. You should try and win every cup you can because they don't come around that often.
No, not for the likes of West Ham anyway. But yeah, we got Europa League, and mate, to be honest with you, at first I was disappointed that we didn't get Champions League because, as I said to you, we haven't lost Champions League because one of these big teams turned up and went on a mega run and were playing outstanding and we couldn't keep up. We didn't get Champions League because of our own fault. We threw away the Arsenal game, the Newcastle game. Chelsea was there for the taking that game. Everton was there for the taking. We didn't turn up in all these games, and that's what's cost us Champions League at the end of the day. But Europa League, obviously, I'm delighted because we're in Europe and we're not going to be playing any qualifying round against any dodgy team like Astru fucking Gugu.
Well, you nearly had them, but they lost the Romanian Cup final yesterday. Did they lose or Sunday? I can't remember. It might have been Sunday, but they lost, so you can't get them anymore.
Thank God. They're like they're worse bogey team than Brighton is. But yeah, no, I'm happy we got top 6. I just think it's a big summer. We need to bring in 2 strikers and I think maybe 2 midfielders as well. Because we can't rely on Noble, and you can't get Rice to play Thursday, Sunday all season long. You can't do that. So yeah, I'm just hoping that they get Adam Armstrong, mate. That's what I'm hoping for.
I think going back to your early comment about Lingard, I've been thinking about it, and I think the problem with Lingard is, I agree, I think his attitude's changed since he had those first few games, and it's similar to United. And I don't know whether his mentality changed because he performed so well. He felt like I've secured my place back in the United squad, and that's why his performance has dipped off. And he a bit arrogant. Do you know what I mean? And he because, and I think when he first went to West Ham, he had to prove himself to even stay in the Premier League because he weren't playing at all. So again, it goes back to attitudes, isn't it? And he's a bit of a big time Charlie on social media, and isn't he? And all the haircuts.
What I've heard today is Man United apparently want to keep him. So, I mean, I think Man United personally are going to try and use him to get Harry Kane. And I think
we don't want him. Like,
mate, you don't want him. But if you're Man United and you say to Tottenham, here's 80 million for Kane plus Jesse Lingard, Daniel Levy's going to say, you know what, that's a pretty good offer. That.
Nah. We've got one Jesse Lingard already. It's called Dele Alli. Just looks a bit different. He's the same.
Dele Alli's rubbish, mate. Dele Alli is rubbish. I don't like the hype. The hype around Dele Alli is crazy anyway. As you said on the last pod, The only good thing Dele Alli's done recently is kiss Pep's daughter. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with Lingard. They've both got attitude problems. Like they're too interested on how many deals they can get with Boohoo Man and how many deals I can get with JD Sports or something, rather than being on the training pitch and improving as players. So, and it shows because they're hot and cold every week. They do just enough, so they're okay. They're like, okay, I need to play well for a few weeks because the Euros is coming up,
well, this
and then
is
they dip out again. So it's
we'll speak about the Euros in a minute, but for me, Jesse Lingard shouldn't be in there. But we're getting to that in a minute.